we'll build it in so that we could display something. That we should probably line it up with the banner up top so it doesn't look out of place. And bring it down here. So a foot above our chair. We'll make it the same size as the banner. Going to build it into the wall. And we should probably drop it down to the floor. And bring it back with the vanishing point. And if we want to go back 3 feet again, we only need a couple of boxes to figure this out. So let's do that. Let's go. This is 3 feet deep, and we want 3 feet deep at the back. So all we have to do is figure it. Now this is 1, 2.5. So 1 1/4 would give us half, or we can make an X. Let's make an X. That's always the easiest thing. So I'm going right to the chair. I'm taking my 1, 2.5, and I'm making an X right in the middle of it. And this technique is one you will use. That's pretty close for my halfway. So I'm lining up my right vanishing point. I'm going through my half. And if I keep going, now all I have to do is go from this corner through that. If I extend this, if I go from this corner through that new center and keep going, I'll find out where this is supposed to be. And it's right there. Why we need this is, and it would run straight across the whole width of my shelving. Why we need it is to know if we put shelves in here, and that's what I'm looking for. So this was 3 feet here. Let's take a look at how big that was. This is 3 feet there, and this is 3 feet inside the wall. It's that much smaller given that distance, or it appears to be. It isn't, but it appears to be. We bring this up. We create a complete box. If we don't, we won't know how deep to make our shelves. So I'm using the vanishing point on the right here to project this back because they're getting smaller, appearing smaller at the back. The most important part now is to bring this corner over to that perspective line so that I can see where to cut it off. So this now is giving me the underside, that underside that's so important to know, and it's also giving me a line such that when I bring my shelves back, I know I'm using the full 3 feet. There's the full 3 feet depth. And now I just use this vanishing point. And now I've got the full 3 feet for my shelf, shelves that are going in here. And this lines up, always a good sign. And I don't have to have shelves. I could have anything in there. But let's put a shelf in so that we know what that would look like. I'm going to put one just The lower we put it, the better we're going to see what this is all about. So I don't think there'd be anything that small. These would probably be maybe hats, could be anything in here. So I don't think we have lots of room for a shelf, but let's put one in and we don't have to keep it or use it later. So I'm going to put a double line. That's very important that you put 2 lines. Otherwise, there's never a shelf that's so thin that you wouldn't see it. Then you'll see why this line is so crucial. When I take this back here, and it has to stop on that line because that's 3 feet. I use my left vanishing point and bring that over, and I stop here because this is wall. I wouldn't see past the wall. And if we were to color that shelf with the colors that we're using, you'd see this is a top plane right here. And it is only 3 feet deep. And this is a top plane, of course. But look at the difference. The closer we get to the eye level, the less of it you see. And then this is our underside, which would have a light in it. We could make an X and make a light inside there. This is our blue. This we're not going to see. So this time, let's not color that one. So we're not going to see that. This might make this look more clear. And these are purple. Both of these are my purple because they're both facing out. Once I put the black lines in, this might look clearer. Over here, we just indicated that by not putting these in black lines, but you're not going to see this. You're only going to see this, so I should have put this line in. So much to think about. We would see this as well. And we're going to put some cabinetry over here as well. We've got plenty of room. Let's go back to our floor plan. So we've got lots of space over here. So remember, we need to leave maybe 1, 2, 3. Let's leave 3 feet. That would be good here, I think. 3 feet is plenty. And we'll start it. We could line it up with this. Maybe let's start a little bit over here. Let's start it here. We'll leave 1, 2, 3 feet from the chair. So we'll make it 2 and a bit, because that's all we can see is 2 and a bit. And this stuff will have to be custom made, of course. And let's see. Let's start it, and we'll decide how far we want it to go, how long we want to make it. So here we are. So we're going to start now with this little object. It's going to be in between 12 and 13. So 12 and 13. And we want it to go a little bit less than the width of the 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be here. We're going to use, how come I have so many? We didn't count this. Okay, so we haven't got this on our grid here, but we've got room for it. So we'll leave this as width here. Because we didn't have a whole foot, so I didn't count it up here. We have space, so might as well leave it. So let's make it 3 feet tall. So we've drawn our vertical. We have to take this back to the wall. And when you hit the wall, you have to go up 3 feet. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 feet. And so bring this up to 3 feet. Because remember, it's not on that line, it's past that line. And bring it forward. So it's going to overlap a bit our chair, but that's okay. And there's 3 feet right there. So we need our other vanishing point to bring that across. Now, the top part could be made of glass so that we can see our chair through it. That would probably be best. We might put a vertical up around here, which we can't show on our floor plan. Let's go 5 feet for this, and we'll draw right on our cartridge paper. Oops. We'll extend right past our cartridge paper. That way we can make it more accurate. And then I'll put a vertical up. So remember, after every perspective, put a vertical up to meet it. So you're doing it in order. And we'll go across. And we haven't established where we're going to stop it. So that we need to do in order to draw the finish of it. So let's make it this wide. So we're going out past the grid, past our floor plan, because I think that will make an interesting size. And you bring that up. And now this is very distorted, but that's kind of interesting too, because it makes your perspective look a little more exciting when things are just really coming out toward you. Okay, there's that corner. That perspective line is meeting that perspective line. And use our vanishing point, and there we are. So that's our front display, and I think that looks rather good. So we'll put that in black so we can see it. We have to finish up here. We made this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's happened is that our grid couldn't cope with the same amount of depth on this side as it could on this side. So that's why we have more feet here and fewer feet here. So that's our display. And it also went out a smidge. So we should indicate that here as well. Even though we don't have a wall here, so that's okay for us to continue. And as I mentioned, probably the top foot or so is glass. So we can decide up here that the top foot, let's see how that looks, whether that will reveal enough of the chair back there. That's of course not how you establish your displays, but it might be nice to be able to do that. So there, if I project a foot from the back wall over, that's going to give me room to. My chair will be seeable. I'll be able to see it. So, and this is here. It's when you have overlapping that you really create depth in a space. So I know this looks a little alarming right now, but when we trace over it, you'll see it'll make more sense. So we've got our top. And draw right out onto your cartridge paper. We won't be able to include it on our marker paper, but that's fine. And this is our see-through top. And this part is going to be very tricky to see, but this is a top plane, and this is flavoring, so we can see a little bit the flavoring over top of what's going underneath it. So might as well put that in. That's a top plane, and this is a top plane. This is a facing plane. And this is a facing plane. And this is a facing plane. They're getting bigger. And then we have our planes that are facing this way. Ooh, wrong one. We do have more space other than what was on our grid, so we can come down a little bit, not a whole foot maybe, but let's see how much more we can come down. This follows the same principle as what we used here and here. So if I want to make the next foot, all I have to do is go from here through half this wall, and I'll get the next point. So let's extend these lines first. Now, whether or not this is going to fit on our marker paper, it's a good time to chat. We're doing okay. We have our banner, we have our shelving's going to fit in, and we've got this wall is going to fit in, and we can cut some of that off. I think that will look good. We can cut that off. We've still got a little room on the side here. And we're going to just need a bit of ceiling. We don't need a lot of ceiling, but we do need to show that there we have some light fixtures. From our table, we're going to leave 2 feet, 2.5 feet. 1, 2.5 feet. So we have 2, 1, 2.5. All right, so we're going to put it here. And as far as we know, we're only dealing with a portion of our store. So as far as we know, this is going to keep on going. Doesn't look as large as the one that's closest to us by a long way. And let's make this one 3 feet tall as well. So remember now, right after every vertical, you do a perspective line. So we're going to go back to the wall and measure up 3 feet. And bring that across. Okay, so there's 3 feet. The boxes are so distorted out here, but we can still use them. I think it's a good idea to let this keep going. This does help. I think it makes it look, every little bit of overlapping you do makes it look more convincing. And this might be stacks of shelves. rather than a display cabinet with glass at the top like they have on the other side. This is where we took it back, remember? And we've got 1 foot and 2 feet. So a foot should give us a nice height for a shell. So bring this across. So all our heights have to come from the measuring lines on the wall. Everything appears much larger closer to us. So that's why that foot here looks like this up here. Out of that space that didn't look very large to begin with, we've managed to put a lot in it. Although on the floor plan it looks pretty spaced out, it has to be in a retail space. And here we go with this same idea that you put your shelves in, and they can only go, though, back as far as this. They can't go any further. That's the limit, because it's only the 2 feet wide, so the 3 feet wide. See where it touches, you go the other way. Touches that vertical line. That vertical line is crucial. This is another top plane. Now we should put double thickness for shelves and things, but we'll wait because we don't know what yours are going to look like. So we'll wait. You might do something different with this. And this is another. That's another top plane. And this is another top plane, although you may make the bottom foot a solid, depending on what you plan to do with this. And this is a purple plane, because it's facing this way. I should be taking more care with this, but I don't want to take up too much time. Now, if we did put our thicknesses on, they would be the blue color because they'd be facing us. Maybe we better do that. Just so we don't miss a step. If we did have, these would be like that. They'd be the blue color. We'll just put one in for show. Okay, so they'd be the blue. Maybe we better put it. It's going to look funny with them. It's always important to show these facing planes. So this would be facing 2. we should also, this is a top plane. This will have a top plane. And this will be the facing plane. And this now is facing this way on this side and this way on this side. Let's have a light read over this table. So what you do is take a line up to the ceiling, but we don't know where it stops on the ceiling. So what you have to do is use your left vanishing point and walk it over to the wall. Go up the wall. Just ignore what's there and go up the wall to the ceiling, and then use your vanishing point and bring it across. And if we want a light directly over our table, we would start a box for it right here. Or if we wanted just a spotlight or a pot light, we could put that in. But if we wanted a pendant light, we'd have to make a box for it. That's our center. Let's choose one more line. Let's choose to stop it right about there. And let's choose one more line. Now, we've got 1/4 of our box. So that's good enough to start with. We're not planning on a big light, just a small light. So that's good enough to start with. Now we can start to make an X with this. If I can get into that corner without my big head getting in the way. So you had to go from that corner through there and kept on going. Then we choose the far side, and where that crosses the X, we go this way. And that'll give me an equal-sided box. We made 1/4, and then we went through the center. Then we chose another side, and where that side crossed the red diagonal, gave me where to go when I went this way. And that'll give me a solid box that I can drop down a little bit to make my light fixture. So we'll just draw a box for now, and we can put a light fixture in it later. And we have to know how far we're dropping it. At 8 feet, that's safe. If you make a country western store and you have people coming in with big high hats, that could be a problem. Okay, so now it's just a matter of doing what we always do, bringing everybody back. And what I'm looking for is this. When I make that line, I'm looking for this back line. Remember, keep your eye on what you're looking for. I'm guilty of not doing that many times myself, and it can cause big problems. So I know of what I'm speaking. Alright, so for now we'll leave this, and when we do the next step, we'll go into how to break that box up and make it into a light fixture. For example, we might want a round, just a simple round, so we'll go and use the circle diagram that we used for the top here. Sometimes that's overkill, we may not need it. It may be as simple as something like this that you bring up, and you have to know where how to hang it, where to hang it from. You could choose something like this. How you would indicate that on here is to show a circle with a line this way and a line that way. That shows, and these are usually done as ceiling plans, that's what they're called, and they're done on a separate acetate over your floor plan. and it shows you where all the lights occur. But let's put up a series of pot light using our left vanishing point. We'll go a foot out from the corner of the room, the edge of the room. We'll go out like this, and we'll go a foot, put another foot on the ceiling. So we'll go 2 feet, and then we'll put 1, and we'll go another 2 feet, and we'll put 1. So let's start to see what that looks like. So there's our first one coming from here, and here's the far side of it. Okay, so that's our first pot light there. Then we go another 2 feet, and we'll make another one. And put the far side of it. So that's, and they're getting larger. That's what we're anticipating. So we'll go another 2 feet and put another one. And another 2 feet and another one. Another 2 feet, and another one. And we'll just leave them as squares for now. And later we'll make them into circles. So a foot. And another foot out. And we did 2 feet, so 1, 2, 1, 2, wait a minute, 1, 2, and 1. So better start drawing them, otherwise we won't see them. Maybe we can use our black pen, since we know where these are going, and it's not too. 1, 2, and then 1. Using our left vanishing point. So here's the first one. I can't really reach that. I'll try. So you'll forgive me if this isn't exactly straight. Okay, so that's our first one on this side. And our first one on the second side, but they're going to be round, so don't worry if they look like they're too close. They are going to be round, and there won't be a problem. And corners of rooms need light, so that's not bad. We can wash our wall with light back there. And then you just keep going with that. So we did, there's our corner, so we did 2 and a light, 2 and a light, 2 and a light, 2 and a light, and 2 and no more lights. Okay, so let's keep going. Why you have to be so careful on the ceiling is because we don't usually do much on the ceiling, so every time out is almost a new experience of perspective, so you have to be particularly careful what you're doing up here. Now these are really distorted, but that's to be expected. We're outside the cone of vision, so it's only 60 degrees, our cone of vision. So these are going to look, we'll correct them. Even though they don't look correct here, we'll correct them. so they don't look too distorted. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. And they'll wash the walls. We should probably have more lights, but our ceiling is abbreviated, so we won't see them. Even fluorescence would be nice to have. Okay, here we go. We're hitting the wall here. If you look back where we were, we're hitting the wall at this point. We go up the wall. And when we hit the wall, we go like this. And we've got this lovely big cartridge paper, so that's going to make things easier for us. So we go right off the page, bring this up. It touches right there. And if I want to see if I'm going to see the middle of this, I'll make an X from the bottom. There's center, and if I take it this way, there's the center of the bottom of the box. If I bring this up to the ceiling line, that line that we made, then it's there. So if I wanted to hang a light over the ceiling of the box, over the center of the box, I'd use this mark. So that marks the center of the box on the ceiling. Now, I just have to bring this up. Try to make it straight. If I bring this up, it crosses here. If I bring the end of the box up, it's there. That maybe we can just put a little bank of lights here. That's the center. So we're drawing that X that we made on the floor, we're drawing it up here. So this represents the back corner of this box. This represents the center of the box, and I want to know where that is so that I can start a light back here. I want to know where the back quarter is. What we're going to do is bring the back of this box up to the ceiling, and that'll give me the other side of this. So now we've got the back half of this box up here, as big as the box, so it's a really big light that sits above this. Got that by taking this line back to the wall, crawling up the wall, projecting it forward, and then bringing the back of the box up to meet it. We brought the center up on the side, brought the center across, so now, and then made an X to find the middle, and then brought the back up and projected that forward, and that gave us the back of this box on the ceiling. And let's see how that looks on our marker paper. So if we're going to cut some of that front off, so this is good. We get a little piece of it right here. I think that will look well. And then this is cropped off, that's a little cropped off, this is a little cropped off. We've got some overlapping. We haven't put our built-ins over here. They start a little wider than the chair, and they go all the way over to half between 14 and 15. So we have to draw them back. And we have to draw back from here. They're 3 feet of depth, so we need to know what 3 feet looks like here. So that's 3 feet. try to make this straight. So that's 3 feet. Okay, so that's the built-ins back there. That's quite a big cabinet, but it doesn't look like it because it's far away from us. This we can put in. It's 3 feet, so 7 and 4, I think. So between 7 and 4, that's our little display, our little banner, our retractable banner. And it's going to take up a little space there, and we have little feet that are going to stick out, not by much because people will trip over them. Could put our person in. Let's put him in there. So we have our person. And we're going to have some built-ins back here. So let's leave a foot and give it 2 feet. We could have 2.5. Okay, let's give it 2.5 feet. We should be using our ruler. 1 foot and then 2.5. And we'll go back the 3 feet again. So that will be helpful to have something there. So there's our 1 foot. So that's our 1 foot back. We should maybe go the same 8 feet to keep it aligned with what we have on the other side. Maybe we'll try a different color here. Okay, and then we're going over 2.5. And it's 3 feet of depth. So all we really need to do is bring this over. The 3 feet that we had here, bring it over. Bringing this back. Oh, so we're not going to see where that ends. It disappears behind that. So all we're going to see of this shelving is this. We'll see the outside. This is good too because it's behind that table. We'll have some interest behind the table. So we're not going to see where any of these shelves stop unless we make it a shorter distance, a shorter depth. Remember, this line now goes to the left vanishing point. And it's just going to keep on going. We're not going to see where it ends. Whereas here we saw that. But because this is so deep, we're not going to see. I don't know how deep this is going to be, but I think we need it. Otherwise, we won't know that it's shelving. It's going to look a little odd. The shelves are not that wide, so it doesn't make sense they would be that deep. So this is less. That's helpful. Now when we put a shelf in, I'm just putting one at 4 feet to show what it looks like, but you can put them in at any height and it'll look good. There. And there. We'll put one at 2.5. And then the rest could be whatever we need it to be. We have some lights, we have some shelving. Oops, wrong line. Perhaps when you do your light, do the verticals first so that you don't make the mistake I made there. I went to the back instead of the front, but luckily it's so small we can't really see. Okay, so there's our light. We've got a light fixture over here that we're going to see. I'm going to turn those into circles probably, although I'm sure they do come square as well. Now the reason to darken these up is because we're going to need to see them on the next overlay. And if we have this bank of lights, that means there would be more banks of those lights later on in the store. And they don't have to all line up here with this one. They can be staggered. I just want to put this wall in a little darker too. This banner isn't as dark as it needs to be. So these are all undersides. They're facing the floor. And this is facing the floor. And this is our first one on this side. And this one will probably be covered up by, and that's the last one we see on that side. And there'd probably be another big bank of lights up here, but we won't see those. This is facing this way. Now, in the coloring in of these boxes, to help clarify things, you don't have to necessarily, all the planes that are facing the same way, the same color, I just think it's very helpful. You can have them more accurately rendered according to which ones are the ones in shadow and which ones are the ones in light. But this I find most helpful for me. This now is facing this way. And this is facing this way. We never did discover how deep this shelving unit is. We'll say it's half of this when we put it on the floor plan, which we should do right away now. We'll change this to 1.5. That way it's more reasonable, I think, to do that. What we really need this floor plan for is to see, is there enough room for everybody to walk around? And there is. So I don't think we have a problem with that. There's plenty of space here, plenty there. Banner is facing this way.